Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. For those utilizing ASL interpretation services, our two interpreters today are Andrea Lamberton and Johnny Colon. The names are displayed as ASL interpreter John and ASL interpreter Andrea. Instructions on how to pin their videos and access card captioning services can be found in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Jahai. Good afternoon, everyone. Our members of the public, CCRB staff and colleagues, I am Shireen Crawford. I'm a mayoral appointee and interim chair. On my left is Jonathan Darsh, our executive director of the CCRB. I would like to call our July public board meeting to order and ask our board members to introduce themselves. And I'm going to start on my right.
Kevin McGinn, Police Commissioner appointee.
John Siegel, mayoral appointee.
Frank Dwyer, Police Commissioner designee.
Herman Merritt, City Council designee from Brooklyn.
Joe Fox, Police Commissioner.
Joseph Puma, good afternoon. I'm the City Council designee from Manhattan.
Good afternoon, Pat Smith, mayoral designee.
Mark Winston Griffith, Public Advocate designee.
Hey, Hogan, City Council designee from Southeast Queen.
Hello, everyone. We're finally to summer, and I want to give a special welcome to our newest member who's joining us for the first meeting today, appointee from the Public Advocate. Welcome.
Thank you.
Before we get into the business of our meeting, the agency received some difficult news this week, and I'd like to turn it over to John to share that news and hold some space to reflect.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The agency lost a valued member of staff who passed away last week. Colin Gardner joined the CCRB in 2015. A part of our field team, he was a valued and trusted investigator. We will all miss him. We wish his partner and family comfort during this difficult time. I ask you to all join me in a moment of silence in his memory.
Thank you, John. And we'll all keep Colin and his family in our thoughts going forward. So we'll continue now with our business of our meeting. Sorry, yeah, there is, and I'll try to use my courtroom voice and yell. So we have two sets of minutes, our May and June. Is there a motion to approve the May minutes? Okay, and a second?
Second.
All those in favor of approving the minutes for May, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And any abstentions? I'll assume our newest member is abstaining, and the May minutes are approved. And I'll ask the same, are there any changes or corrections to the June minutes? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the June minutes?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All opposed? And abstentions? Newest member abstaining, and the June minutes are approved. So good afternoon, everyone. I was getting off the train on the way here and realized that we're in July. We just celebrated the 4th of July. I hope everyone got through the heat wave and then the storm, some dangerous weather. But I think right now we're experiencing some nice summer weather. So I hope everyone is getting a chance to take that in. I wanted to comment on two things today. First is our city's budget. I want to personally thank the mayor, the speaker, the city council for their work in passing the city's budget for the new fiscal year. Our executive director will discuss in more detail in a few moments, but I know that everyone involved in that process of passing the budget, there was a tremendous amount of work by many, and thankful to all of them for getting that across the finish line. I also wanted to take a moment to speak on the fact that July is Disability Pride Month. In June, we celebrated Pride Month, and July is Disability Pride Month. A celebration honoring the passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act in 1990. Accessibility is the cornerstone of any government agency, and the CCRB is no exception. Every New Yorker has a right to access services that the city provides. And I'm proud of the work of this agency and what it does to ensure that everyone's rights are respected. This effort requires everyone to work together, our investigators, our investigations unit, our technical support staff, our administrative staff, and everyone in this agency. Great thanks to them for continuing to carry that mission forward. And then I said two things, maybe it's three, I don't know. Lastly, the agency has welcomed a new crop of interns. Always, grateful for the summer interns. And these young people come from many different backgrounds and many different levels of education and career growth. And we're excited and happy to welcome them. Some of the young people are now exploring the world of public safety for the first time. Others are law students who are looking for hands-on experience outside the classroom, which is ever valuable. Some of them will produce videos for social media, collaborate with our outreach unit as they connect with community, and visit the trial room or explore other educational opportunities. And I think many of us have done internships in our careers, knowing that time to connect, build community, see work firsthand is invaluable. And also that work that interns bring to the agency is great contributions with fresh eyes on the work. We're also welcoming a small group of interns who are joining us via a group of advocates for young people with special needs. Individuals with special needs can be particularly vulnerable during encounters with police. And welcoming these interns will help the agency connect with this community as well as spread the word about what CCRB does. We're thrilled to have all of the interns, and I personally am inspired to see the next generation learn here at CCRB and take that learning into their future careers. I'd now like to turn it over to Jonathan Darsh, our Executive Director.
Thank you, Chair Crawford. To start, I want to thank our outreach unit and everyone involved with the agency's celebration of Pride Month in June. I was able to attend the New York City Pride Parade as part of the CCRB cohort. Was happy to see our staff show up for the community at that event. I also joined the chair in sharing appreciation to the mayor, the speaker, and the city council for the new city budget. Our new total agency budget for fiscal year 2027 is $32.8 million, up from $29.4 million in fiscal year 2026. This coincides with a new authorized headcount of 275, up from 267 last year. This combination of new funding and more people power will be a major benefit to the agency, enabling us to be more efficient as we fulfill our mandate to provide fair and independent investigations of alleged police misconduct. Once we are able to fully hire up to our new headcount, we will begin phasing out the strategic resource allocation determination, a policy which prevents the agency from investigating certain complaints that only contain certain allegations. We look forward to fully investigating all of the allegations that are within our jurisdiction. Reiterating what the chair said, we acknowledge the diligent and difficult work that comes with putting a budget together for a city as large as New York City. We thank Mayor Mamdani, Speaker Menon, the City Council, and all the staff, analysts, and others who contributed to the budget's creation and adoption. Last month, we received a question about the ratio of complaints to allegations and why that ratio changes over time, and I wanted to address that question now. As investigations continue, the agency may develop more allegations by reviewing body-worn camera footage, conducting interviews, and so on. As the year goes on, investigations that may have had fewer allegations earlier in the year can encompass more allegations as those investigations continue. Additionally, the CCRB may plead an allegation against an unknown officer or officers, and that allegation may ultimately transform into several or more as more information is learned and officers are identified. The agency takes seriously its commitment to report our data accurately, transparently, and continuously. It is important to keep in mind that data may only represent a specific snapshot in time, as our work is always changing and we are receiving, investigating, and closing complaints every day. As a reminder, our office is open for walk-in complaints, but it is also possible to file complaints online at nyc.gov/CCRB complaint, by telephone at 1-800-341-2272 or 311, or by tagging the agency on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. For those wishing to speak during the public comment section of today's meeting, we ask that you keep your questions and comments to 4 minutes. If anyone wishes to file a complaint right now, we have 2 investigators on hand ready to take new complaints. The investigators on call this afternoon are Emma Steidehar and Nicole Stern. Amy O'Sullivan is also here from the Civilian Assistance Unit. Thank you all for your presence here today, and we'll now move on to our board's formal business.
Thank you, John. Before I move to see if there's any questions from the board for John about what he just shared on the budget, we do have a board member who's joined us online that I'm going to have unmute and introduce himself.
Good afternoon, Rahul Agrawal, mayoral appointee. Nice to see you all.
Welcome. Okay, do any of the board members have questions about the budget or anything that John shared?
Madam Chair, the success of the budget is largely due to your efforts, the executive director's efforts, and the considerable staff efforts. Didn't happen in a vacuum. Took hard work and smart work. So commend and thank all of those involved.
Thank you. All right. Seeing no other questions, we're going to move to the public comment portion of our meeting. Same rules apply. We'll ask those who are joining us virtually to make comments, and then we'll move to people in the room in person to make comments. For those who are joining us virtually, we ask that they use the raise your hand feature. And please, as the executive director asked, keep your comments to 4 minutes. And I'll ask Jahai if we have anyone with their hand up. We might need to give it a minute or two to let people raise their hand.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So far, there are no hands raised. As you mentioned, we will give it a moment to allow people to find the raise your hand function.
Thanks.
Okay, so far, no one has raised their hands in the online public comment session, so you can feel free to conclude public online comment session.
Okay, thank you. We will conclude the online session, and if that changes and we see a hand, let us know. Otherwise, we're going to move to in-person comments in the room and just ask folks to line up behind the podium and please use the microphone. Go ahead. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
Hello. And if you could just introduce yourself. Thank you.
Good evening, board members and members of the public. My name is Juan Romero. A lot of you already know. And I'm reading this statement on behalf of Nick Constantino, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. I want to be very clear and very specific about the issue I'm raising today. As of today, I've been denied in-person access to these public meetings for the 8th consecutive month after being placed on what has been described as a do not admit list. I submitted a written request asking for the legal basis of this restriction, the specific policy or authority being replied upon, whether the restriction is temporary or indefinite, and what process exists for review or appeal. To date, no written determination has been provided. I have, however, been told on numerous occasions by the executive director that I may attend online instead of in person. The executive director has also maintained that this restriction is justified and has acted as the sole decision maker in imposing and maintaining it. This raises a serious concern regarding impartiality because I have previously made allegations involving the executive director himself. Despite that, the executive director has determined that there is no conflict of interest requiring recusal. Excuse me. No determination review, no independent review, excuse me, and no outside oversight while continuing to act as the final authority in this matter. And this issue goes directly to the fairness and legitimacy of the decision-making process affecting public access. The issue is not whether I can attend remotely. The issue is this: what specific policy did I violate? What factual findings justify this restriction? Almost finished. What legal authority is the executive director relying upon to impose and maintaining this restriction as the sole decision maker? Yes. What independent process exists for review, appeal, or removal of this restriction? Because what appears to be happening is a restriction on an in-person public access without written notice, without published standards, without stated findings, and without any independent mechanism to challenge the decision. So today, this request is made publicly and on the record. If such a policy exists, produce it. If findings were made, provide them. If an appeal process exists, identify it. And if none of these can be provided, then what is being imposed is it's not a policy-based process. It is a discriminatory exclusion from a public meeting without transparency, standards, or accountability. That should concern everyone in this room. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
You want to respond to anything?
Thank you, sir. I will communicate your request to the FOIL unit, and we will provide you with those documents pursuant to the FOIL request. Thank you.
Follow-up question, if I may. I noticed when the public meeting was finally posted online on YouTube, the audio was horrible. Nobody could understand anything. I'm assuming this problem's got to be fixed for this meeting, correct?
That's why we have.
We've upgraded our microphone system, and hopefully the audio will be good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, hi. Hi, everyone. My name is Felix Guzman. Good afternoon, board members and those communities in attendance. My name is Felix Guzman. I am a former public official as a member of the New York City City Council Commission on Community Reinvestment and the Closure of Rikers Island, and current steering committee member of the CCIT NYC, which is calling for peer co-led interventions for assisting community members thought to be in the throes of mental health crisis and removing police from set encounters where there is no presence of violence. I am here today to bring awareness to the lack of true intervention as it pertains to male survivors of intimate partner violence and or domestic violence. Currently, right now, I have an ongoing stalking situation, which has been going on for about 9 years. I have filed 5 police complaints, an order of protection that went nowhere, and currently have an order of protection I'm trying to have served notice to appear via alternative methods. I have had many encounters myself with members of the police force, some voluntary and some not, as someone on the autism spectrum and someone living with CPTSD. It goes without saying that it can be very traumatizing and very debilitating to be in the throes of crisis and or trying to relate what's going on around safety concerns when I'm being treated as though my safety concerns are being diminished. And there is no direct referral to either domestic violence liaison or it's kind of passed off, and kind of just disappeared into being told go to family court, right? So, domestic violence is a very, scary thing. I have lost a job. Said person has come to my job to be a client of my job when I worked in social services. I'm currently soon to start working. Again, I just did my fingerprints today. And it's very debilitating to know that I could be doing the right thing after having been on the wrong side of the law and acting in, working towards healthy incarceration and being on edge, right? I just want to be treated as though my concerns are valid and also be able to file a complaint, have it go somewhere, and also be educated on the language to use so that it actually goes somewhere and is actually criminalized and not just being seen as an annoyance or minor harassment or such. This is a legit safety concern I have. And there has to be some sort of sensitivity training to be done where not just for survivors of domestic violence, domestic partner violence, but those with disabilities and also male survivors, as there is very little assistance out there. Can I get, I guess my question would be, what can change going forward that I can assure that not just that IPV and DV actually is addressed for the disabled and across all gender lines as well. But how can we make sure that this is actually addressed and not just simply just seen as a minor inconvenience? I know that abuse has no gender. Then if so, then everyone should be able to get help in a way that is actually honors dignity and upholds dignity as well. So thank you.
Thank you. You raise an important issue around intimate partner violence and male survivors of intimate partner violence. I think that, and I'll also defer to the executive director, some of what you might be asking may be out of the scope of this agency, but I think that we can help connect to appropriate resources. And also if any of the instances that you're referring to do rise to a level where we could take a complaint from you through the CCRB, we can have somebody meet with you today.
Mr. Guzman, I want to thank you for being brave enough to come share your experience with us. There are kind of two parts to your question, to your comments. One is changing how the public safety system interacts with people who have disabilities, but also your particular problem. And it is tough for us in this larger conversation to know whether or not this agency, something happened to you that is in our jurisdiction. So I'd like, if it's okay, if you could either speak to one of our investigators who's here or make an appointment to speak to one of them so that we can take down what happened and to see if it fits within our jurisdiction, which is force, abusive authority, discourtesy, and offensive language. So if that is, if something that happened to you fits in those categories, we will investigate that.
Does non-action count as well?
I'm sorry, what was that, Mr.
Does
Guzman?
non-action count as well?
So non-action is complicated, and that's why we need to talk to you and find out exactly what happened.
Okay.
And we won't just blow you off. We will explain to you what we are doing with the complaint if it is not within our jurisdiction.
Okay.
But the larger question of how the city treats people who are similarly situated to you is one that is important to this whole city. And the new administration has created a mayor's office of community safety.
Yes.
And so I'm going to ask that you stick around so we can get your contact information and we can connect you with folks from the Mayor's Office of Community Safety, because I think what you were describing is something that would be of interest to them as they are looking for ways to reform and fix how New York City as a whole addresses this issue.
Is the Office of Community Safety, is that over the office to NGBV or is? No?
So
It's
I think they
separate.
are parallel.
Yeah, they're two separate.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may, a comment.
Mhm.
But first, Mr. Guzman, I want to thank you for being brave and coming out and presenting this to the board. And although some of the things might not be considered in our jurisdiction. You spoke about non-action. And I think we should look into as a board somewhere where there is a reluctance to prosecute when someone has a particular either gender, where there's a great propensity of males that come to the NYPD with this problem, and there's no attention paid. So that's the non-action they're speaking about, June. All right, okay. So it's very important that you brought this here, that we can find a way to be some kind of assistance to you. And I'm very proud of you for being brave enough to come to the board with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you.
I was just telling Mr. Guzman that I serve on NGDU. Oh, you can't hear me? Okay. All right, so I will project my voice a little more. I just spoke to Mr. Guzman about the fact that I serve on NGDV, and that's where all of the domestic violence and inter-partner violence organizations are housed. So I will talk to him offline about that. Hello, my name is Mari Moss. I serve on the Community Action Board that gives federal funding to nonprofit organizations through DYCD. We give out a little more than your budget, $35 million, but it's for the whole city. It's been a while since I've been here, but as you may know, I've come to talk about domestic violence situations where people who are experiencing domestic violence or survivors of violence are wrongfully arrested, like myself at my daughter's school. And my case in the CCRB was kind of disregarded, but I continue to advocate for mothers, women dealing with domestic violence, particularly in those regards. But since I've been gone, the Knicks won their championship. I gave a TEDx talk on the future belongs to those, we protect the future on TEDx. And I also am now the newly elected first vice chair of the citywide board, the Community Action Board, that gives away federal funding, $35 million. And we've partnered with your organization, the CCRB, with Summer Youth Employment Program. So I am the first Lenape descendant. And for those of you who don't know, to serve in this capacity, for those of you who don't know who the Lenape are, they are the indigenous people that are on the seal of the city, which is also on our flag. So this is a great honor to serve in this capacity. And I look forward to serving with all of you in the coming future. This board also has the mayor on it. It has the speaker on it and several elected officials who serve on that board as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations on your TEDx talk and your appointment. I can't wait to look at it. Right.
Hi, good afternoon. Andrew Case, Latino Justice Pro-Lef. Welcome to all of you as board members. Welcome, Mr. Winston Griffith. I want to talk a little bit now that you are almost at full capacity of the board. I think you're missing only Staten Island, the Bronx, and a chair. So you have enough members now to actually take policy decisions and to make choices about how you're going to operate and how your cases operate. And I know there was a lot of talk last year about who has final disciplinary authority and where should that go. And you all recognize that sort of you can't be the judge in your own case. You can't actually have final disciplinary authority. You're an investigatory body. But what you can do is do something to change the fact that when we look at these statistics, we see that the NYPD trial room is broken. You are doing a tremendous job as an agency and as a board in investigating complaints and finding the truth. A lot of that is body-worn cameras, but a lot of that is the quality of your investigations has improved. The thoroughness has improved. You have career investigators who are doing great work. You have a 40% substantiation rate. It was 8% when I was an investigator in 1999. You guys are doing great work. The NYPD is not disciplining the officers that you find committed misconduct. If we look at the discipline, we see that 58 of the instances in which we have discipline were actually instructions or formalized training, which the monitor says should not be considered discipline. You had 13 cases where you lost at trial in the trial room and only 6 where you convicted the officer at the trial room. You have great lawyers. You guys won the case against Jonathan Rivera in the Alan Feliz death that was reversed. The reason that you're losing cases at the trial room is the trial room is biased in favor of officers. What this board should do is take steps to agree to move these cases back into oath where they belong. Oath is the Office of Administrative Trials and Hearings. It's where every city employee, except a police department employee, is heard before neutral judges who hear these cases without bias towards any particular agency. If you're from the Department of Buildings and you're accused of misconduct, you go to oath. If you're a taxi driver, you go to oath. Police officers used to go to oath, and in 2001, there was a movement, a lawsuit. The cases were moved out of oath. This board could take steps to make an agreement with the police department. There'll be a lawsuit. The PBA will sue. You guys would win. You should try to move the cases back to oath. That's where the neutrality can come in. You can introduce a little more neutrality in this process. We all know the problem is that you guys do the cases, then it goes to the PD for prosecution, the PD for this, the PD for this, the police commissioner for final discipline. Taking it back to a neutral agency that already exists, that's well-run, that's well-staffed, that can take the cases, is where you guys should be going over the next 6 months to a year. All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Case. We'll take your recommendation under consideration.
Great.
Mr. Myers?
Does this work?
Yeah.
I can't hear anything. I'm Michael Myers. I'm the president of the New York Civil Rights Coalition, and good afternoon to all of you. I have a lot to say, which I can't say in 4 minutes. I can spend my 4 minutes speaking about your newest member, who is I hate to have to announce it, but a former staff member of the New York Civil Rights Coalition. I assume that's not on your resume. Otherwise, you would not be on this board. But later on that, I must say that I don't understand why we still don't have a Bronx representative who's been absent for like 4 years now. This is ridiculous. And the Staten Island representative, I haven't heard anybody say they were from Staten Island as a representative. Still missing. And we still don't have a chair. We have an interim chair, which is a series now of interim chairs. But the mayor and the city council speaker apparently cannot agree on a leader of the Civilian Complaint Review Board. Now that is in and of itself a shame and an embarrassment on the part of the city administration. This board needs leadership, not just a complement of members, but we need leadership, and we need a person who is not going to be subject to dismissal on the lurch of a mayor or a city council speaker who cannot follow the rules of the Civilian Complaint Review Board. So I call again for this board to speak up. That it's time for a Bronx representative, a Staten Island representative, and thank God we have a chair, but we need a permanent chair for the CCRB. And I also want to say that I want to add my voice and my concern about the Nick's exclusion, apparent exclusion from the public meetings of the board. I don't understand the standards, Mr. Executive Director. What are the standards for not admitting a member of the public to a public meeting? You keep telling people, well, we'll come back to you. We'll come back to you, get back to you, go back to him or his representative. You gotta get back to us. I wanna know what the standards and the criteria are for not being able to attend a public meeting of the Civilian Complaint Review Board, because in due time, I'm going to be excluded from this board meeting because I'm likely to offend somebody. I don't know who it is who excluded Nick, but I'm going to offend the chair. I'm going to offend somebody because I'm going to call their name out. I'm going to call their name because I don't think they've been doing what they're supposed to be doing. So it's not good enough for you to tell us, well, Nick can come online. That's not good enough. I want to know what the reasons are for excluding any member of the public. And I think the board ought to know, what are the reasons? What are the standards for excluding any member of the public from a public meeting of the board? I don't know how many times I gotta say that, but it's disgraceful. It's disgraceful that we operate like this, and you never have an answer. You mean the board never have an answer. He sends his representative to every meeting, but he can't get an answer. He means the representative, and Nick can't get an answer, and I can't get an answer that makes any sense. So if you're going to have standards and a policy, please make it specific, and so that I know when I can step over the line and cannot step over the line, because it's just a matter of time before I step over that line, and I'm going to come here anyway. Okay, I'm going to come here anyway. So Nick said he was taking somebody to court. I thought he had already done that and gotten a court order. I was mistaken the last time I spoke to you. He did not go to a court order. But apparently there are no standards. And you people are not addressing the issues. Why not? I want to know from the executive director and from the interim chair, what are the reasons, what are the standards for keeping people out of this public meeting? Now, finally, I want to welcome Mark Griffith, Mark Winston Griffith. He's the best. I'm glad you don't have us on your resume. You would not have gotten on this board. Believe me. Mark was an early staff member of the New York Civil Rights Coalition, even before I took over. Early, a person of integrity, intelligence, and smarts. And I welcome you. But I can tell you now, you're going to get like I'm getting. I've already gotten frustrated and not unsure what the hell are we doing here.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. We appreciate you being present like other members of the public to come and share your thoughts, ideas, and concerns. I'm not seeing any other members of the public to make comments at this time. So with that, I'll conclude our public comment section and ask the board if we have any old business to come before us. No, seeing none.
Chair,
Yes.
we discussed this briefly last month. We did not have a quorum. For several months now, our executive director has been criticized for the actions in the case of Nick Constantino, with allegations that he's acting on his own without the backing or support of the board. I would like to introduce a resolution, move that the board has faith and confidence in our executive director in his handling of the matter of Mr. Constantine. That's my motion. Thank you.
Anybody wants to respond to that?
Need a second, I guess.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
We've discussed it. Mr. Myers, we've discussed it and it's, no, we haven't. And I don't think that, I think if John wanted to make it public, I don't know if it's going to court. I don't know what is happening, but we've discussed it and we have full faith in whatever he says.
I'll just add that I believe at the last meeting, the executive director shared that there were elements of the discussions around this that he wanted to be mindful of Mr. Constantino's confidentiality, and we want to respect that. And I think that's part of the reason that that discussion has not been fully in the public meeting.
Yeah, and I spoke to Nick Constantini a few times, and we had some long discussions. And one of the questions that the brother who came and represents him, aside from the legal things that I'm not to get into, coming to a public meeting, I spoke about safety, spoke about respect, and I spoke about if you want to come to some place in public, represent yourself as that's what you want to do. And I'm 100% with Nick if he wants to bring stuff in a particular way with a particular manner that would not offend not only the board, but the people, other people in public that came to the meeting. So there was a meeting, Brother Myers, right, that Nick was at, and became enraged in a point to a particular case that he was dealing with. And I think if that case is something separate than his attitude that he came with, then I'd be totally in support of him. And I spoke to him that, and I said that to him many times. I think it's not what you have, it's how you bring it. And it was like really erroneous the way it was brought. Somebody's judgment? Not a judgment, brother. Not a judgment at all.
Well, why not allow him to come here and speak to you?
So I think it is inappropriate for us to discuss this in public session.
Yes.
Why? It is inappropriate to discuss it in public session for reasons that I can't get into because we're in the public session.
But the people want to know. That's
No,
respectfully, I'm not,
I understand, but there are things that people want to know that I cannot tell them, and this is one of those things.
Standards. What are the standards?
So we will provide,
We have a right to know that.
so Mr. Myers, you have a right to know, and I will provide it to you. I don't have those standards right now in front of me, and I don't want to misstate them. So at the next meeting, I'll be happy to read the standard to you. But I'm not going to get into the particulars of Mr. Constantino's case.
Thanks. I'm going to conclude this conversation and also just note that there's been many opportunities for individual conversations to address the questions raised publicly. And as the executive director said, he'll bring forth the requested standards and share them with the public and with the parties who've requested them. I'll ask now if the board has any new business before we move forward. Hearing none. I'd like to move to adjourn to our executive session. And with that, sharing that the agenda for the executive session is that the executive director will discuss pending personnel issues and the general counsel will provide updates regarding pending litigation. Is there a motion to adjourn to executive session?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
This meeting is now adjourned to executive session. Thank you all for joining us.